choices were made in the hours following King Viserys' death.
The war will be fought. Many will die.
The second season of the much-anticipated House of the Dragon is just around the corner, promising to amp up the drama, treachery, and epic battle scenes. So joining us live now are two of the stars of the Crave HBO series, Stephen Toussaint and Harry Collette. Welcome back, Steve.
Thank you.
And Harry, good to meet you.
Thank you.
This is so exciting. June 16th. I mean, so many people are waiting for that day. It was a record-breaking season one, which was incredible. Steve, let's talk about you, because your character, Corlys, was kind of MIA from some of the scenes, or I should say episodes in season one, but good to know you're alive again. Yes. So what can we expect from you in season two, given that, you know, your wife, Rhaenys, has alliances and motives?
Yes, I think, well, with the season two begins about 10 days after the end of season one. So Corlys is still grieving the death of his son, or he thinks the death of his son, the death of his daughter, his brother, and of course his grandson, Jacaerys' brother, and still recovering from the injury from that, and the fact that he has pledged allegiance to Rhaenyra, mainly because his wife said that they should, and he feels he owes his wife, because I think the one time you see Corlys being completely and utterly honest are in the scenes with just him and his wife. That's when he can really be himself. So I think he really cherishes that relationship, and things will happen in the season that will put it under strain. For
sure. I mean, and Rhaenys is also a champion of having a woman be at the throne, because she got passed up, so that makes sense. I mean, it's very cool. Like, if I were to do a 23andMe family tree of what goes on, you'd be like, what is going on here? Because, you know, you're his grandson, but not really by blood, because they had an open marriage or relationship going on.
It's a touchy subject.
Exactly. So, Jace, your younger brother gets eaten up by a dragon. You're the firstborn son, heir to the throne. What are we going to see from Jace? Is he going to be the leader that we want him to be?
Well, yeah, I think, you know, in Jace's head, it's his war now, you know. He wants revenge for what happened. It's Jace, you know, thinks it's his fault because, you know, it was Jace's idea. He said, send me. So he's going to feel a lot of responsibility for what happened. And, yeah, he's just going to power through this with lots of anger and determination.
And Steve, you know, turning back to your character, you are Valyrian, family Valyrian. We hear about Valyrian steel in Game of Thrones, but now we have the family here. And you are a naval master, biggest navy in the world. Did you have to, like, look up any historical figures or tie that maritime history to develop your character to be the sea snake?
That's a very good question. No. So I'm going to just correct you on one thing, though. My family name is Velaryon.
Velaryon, not Valerian.
But Valerian is what we are.
Okay, okay.
But no, I think because when I initially had the very first meeting, well, second or third meeting with Ryan and Miguel, who are our showrunners, we talked mainly about what it was like to be a father, which I'm not. But it was more, that was the key to who he was, and the fact that he spent most of season one, if you remember, trying to secure his legacy, trying to get his kids married off and make sure the family name continued. So that was more about that. Because at the time, in terms of the sea stuff, I myself used to get seasick.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's the weirdest thing, right? I'm like, I'm playing the greatest navalman in the land and I can't. But then since then, I've been on water since, and it seems to have gone, so I'm okay. But no, I didn't have to worry about that kind of research.
That side of the history. Okay, very cool. And Jace, we got to talk about the dragons. I mean, the show is literally called House of the Dragon. You're very bonded to your dragon, Vermax. What's it like filming those scenes? Is it CGI? Is it hard to, like, get that acting right when you're riding this beast?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the hardest acting I've had to do in my life, but it's fun, you know. It's what riding a dragon should be.
So what is it? Is it like a rodeo thing?
Yeah.
What do you jump on, or?
Well, it's like you have like screens all around you, which are like decorated as the sky, and then you're on this big green rig thing, which you're kind of just doing this for like an hour.
Yeah.
With like a wind machine blowing in your face that sometimes has dust in it, so you're like, oh, like that. But yeah, no, it is fun. But I've always said this, but you do start to get motion sick after 45 minutes.
Wow.
Well, me anyway, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's very cool. Okay, I guess
It's
you can
fun.
always
It's fun.
practice by turning a fan on and, you know, jumping around.
Do it.
Yeah, okay, well, I wish we had more time to talk, but so glad that you guys came back and can't wait to see Season 2, House of the Dragon. Steve Toussaint and Harry Collette, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congrats
Thank you so
on the
much.
show. Everyone,
Thank
catch it
you.
on Crave, HBO Max, June 16th.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
The Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace...
Oh boy, just a few more days to wait for this, but the much anticipated series set in the Star Wars universe, The Acolyte, is set to start streaming on Disney Plus, and it dives into the mysteries surrounding the death of multiple Jedi. Joining us now are stars of the show, Amandla Stenberg and Manny Jacinto. Thank you both for joining us this morning to talk about The Acolyte. I know Star Wars fans are just completely freaking out about this. It's coming out on Tuesday. The first 2 episodes drop on Disney Plus. Amandla, tell us, you're taking us 100 years back in the Star Wars universe, so no one really knows your characters yet. Tell us about your character and sort of, you know, what's going on in The Acolyte.
Sure, yeah. So we're at a part in the timeline where the Galactic Empire hasn't existed yet, which means that the Jedi are really in power. So we have a ton of Jedi in our show. And the Sith, you know, the dark force of the Star Wars universe, are very much the underbelly. And so we're going back in time and looking at what happens when the Jedi are in power and the Sith don't exist yet, and how do the Sith come to be? And well, I have something to do with that part.
You certainly do. You have a lot to do with that. There's no doubt about that. If anybody's had a chance to get a sneak preview, Mandy, tell us. You know, you get to be part of the Star Wars universe as an actor. What is that like?
I mean, it's a dream. I think it's been a huge dream for the both of us. It's definitely on the bucket list for a lot of actors. There's a good amount of pressure that comes with it, but also a lot of freedom considering that, you know, like Amandla said, it's 100 years before The Phantom Menace. We get to explore different characters, different storylines. Yeah, it's like taking a big risk, but I think it was a risk that was well worth it.
And you get to play with a lot of lightsabers, and I mean, like the action scenes in this and sequences. I want to talk to both of you about that. The intensity, not beyond just your acting skills, but the physicality too. So
yes.
tell me a bit about that, because I mean, I was watching these episodes, like what you guys do. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, I myself didn't get to do a lot of the physical aspects of the stunt choreography, but Amandla, I mean, watching them,
Yeah.
you know, being in the stunt.
The
do a lot
opening
of stuff.
scene, right? I mean, that opening fight that you have with Carrie-Anne Moss is legendary. I would say, like that in the Star Wars universe. I think that's going to be one of the best.
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all. Yeah, people have started coining it Force Fu.
Yes,
which I think is
I heard that the other day on a
awesome.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my character has knives, and we did a lot of martial arts training, and that's because our showrunner Leslie Headland wanted the show to reference Kill Bill, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, these martial arts films, and I think that was just such a great choice.
Yeah, you know, I can see that now. Now that you mentioned that there are those vibes and elements of those films in there. Amandla, when you were growing up, was Star Wars on your radar? Was that something that you said, I want to be an actor, but do I want to be in Star Wars? Like, was that ever on your mind?
I mean, I don't think it ever occurred to me that I could be in Star Wars, but of course, like growing up, I loved Star Wars. It was so definitive for my childhood, particularly the prequels.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the journey of Anakin Skywalker. I think it's such a wonderful hero's journey. Yeah. And also, it's just really meaningful to see this person who, when exposed to power and corruption, because he's acting from a place of fear, is susceptible to it. And I think that's a really powerful story for all of us.
And Manny, when you first saw the script and you realized you were in this program, in this show, this series that Disney's dropping, what jumped out to you? Maybe not even about your character, but just even about the storyline or the arc.
Well, the first thing that jumped out is that it was very much rooted in like a murder mystery type of storyline, and it's something that we've never really seen in Star Wars before. I feel like with a lot of the past series, it's more so about like getting these iconic characters to interact with one another, but with Leslie Headland, our director, was very much bringing forth a story that was rooted in this murder mystery that gives us a lot of twists and turns along the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the concept is, I mean, only the first 2 episodes are going to drop, but I mean, it's to not know where we're going. I know you both know where it's going, but what's that like, the anticipation among Star Wars fans? What are you hearing? Because there are millions of them around the world in the anticipation to this.
Yeah, sure. Well, something that I love so much about the show is If you love Star Wars, great. We have a lot of specific details and characters even that come from the Star Wars universe already. But if you haven't seen it before, it doesn't matter. Like, hopefully you can just delve deep into the story, and it really is a family drama at its core, and I just think that our showrunner Leslie has put so much heart into it, and even when I'm watching it, I feel like I can watch it kind of objectively, and I'm like, no, when plot
So you still react, even though,
I do, and maybe that's because, like, it just is so large, it's hard to even digest, and so I kind of compartmentalize a little bit, that's me on the screen, but I also think that it just really is a compelling story, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Well, listen, congratulations to both of you. This is an exciting series. It must be amazing to be in this. So, Manny and Amanda, good luck with this. It drops, of course, on Tuesday on Disney Plus. Great to see you. Good luck, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Thanks so much.
You have no idea what the ordinary experiences everyday Americans are. I am concerned with battling the ruthless dictators like Vladimir Putin. Can we all agree on that? Can we all agree? Even Mitch would agree with that right now. Mitch? Well, let me begin by stating what a privilege it is.
You likely saw this. This went viral, but comedian Matt Friend has delighted millions upon millions, whether it's on TikTok, C-SPAN, CNN, in part due to his strong comedic wit and his arsenal of really impressive impressions, and he's just funny.
Yeah, he really is. He's got over 270 impressions in his Rolodex. And guess what, Toronto? He's coming to town this Saturday for a couple of shows at Comedy Bars. So we welcome to CP24 Breakfast the one, the only, talented and young, should I say, Matt Friend. Matt, welcome. Oh my goodness, you're 25 years old. You have all these impressions. You've done the red carpets, White House Correspondents' Dinner, everything under the sun. Now you're doing this podcast on the Bill Maher Network. I got to ask you, though, when you're performing at Comedy Bar, I know you can do Michael Bublé. He's Canadian.
Yep.
Do you have impressions of other Canadian, let's say, politicians in your Rolodex that you plan to do?
Well, I mean, we've got Will Arnett, right? I mean, he's going to be so fun to do. I mean, we love doing Will. We've got Howie Mandel, a true Canadian icon. Absolutely. Maybe a little Phil Hartman, kick it back for some old school Canada fans of comedy. That would be very fun to do. I mean, Canada has such an amazing comedy history, so I'm excited to be a little part of it. Because, you know, the first thing that got me obsessed with comedy was Austin Powers, Canada's own Mike Myers. And that was what really hooked me. But I'll be sure to have maybe a little Trump talking to Trudeau. Anything can happen, right? People love that. So I feel like I kind of look like I could be Trudeau's nephew or something. I don't know. But I gotta figure out a little Trudeau content. He's too good looking for a politician. Like, look, whether you like him or not, he looks better than most of the people that run America. So that's just the reality.
Matt, and just listening to this, I mean, I've followed your career pretty closely, and I've heard you on several podcasts. And what you just did, you apparently, that's kind of what it sounds like in your mind. Like, you're constantly going through these impressions. But I wonder how you stay on top of them, because you want to stay topical, you want to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Are there any people you're noticing? I know you watch a lot of news as well, that you're thinking, okay,
yes,
I need to get this person down pat, because they're going to be, you know, rising up, and more people are going to be talking about them. Who's on your radar right now?
I mean, there's so many. Like, it depends on. Like, during the awards season, I was doing like Cillian Murphy when he was won for Oppenheimer, and last year was Austin Butler and the Succession cast. And so I look at like who people are talking about, whether it's sports or politics. And I don't know. I definitely need some Canadian suggestions for who I should be on top of. All I know is that in Canada, the parliament is kind of crazy, isn't it? You guys have some wild.
It's
I
very
always
different.
see weird. Don't you guys throw people out or something? Like, you drag them in, or did I make that up?
Yeah, the Speaker of the House, when they get sort of nominated, that's sort of a bit of a ceremonial drag in. Yeah, that certainly happens. And yes,
that is incredible.
The speaker through the opposition leader out a couple weeks ago. So Pierre Poilievre would be one you could do.
Yep, totally.
Justin Trudeau, you got to get that.
You could do our premiere.
So how quickly can you get these, impressions down?
Well, I could probably do an impression, get it down quicker than I could say Pierre Poilievre 5 times really fast. But it honestly, it depends. I mean, sometimes it can happen pretty quickly. Sometimes it's a process.
Right.
So.
And Matt, I also noticed on your Instagram, you do one of your clips starting off with Michael Bublé, and then you go into a collection of other singers. But your voice, like, you can actually sing. So are you musically trained? Can you have a music career as well?
You know, only when I like to do the Bublé. He's got that sexy kind of Canadian silk where everything sounds like gold. And I'm going to do a little Bublé when I come to Toronto on Saturday. Out of the tree of life, I just picked something about, thank God Bublé's Canadian. I mean, that'll really aid my show. But no, I'm not musically trained. I just was watching clips of old talk shows and comedians, and my sister called me a glorified parrot recently, which is probably what I am. So no, there's no formal training. I'm just a sociopath who just can't shut up. So that's kind of what I am.
Well, we hope you don't shut up here. Now, I know you're really well known, of course, for your Trump impression and your Howard Stern impression. And we know Stern and Trump used to talk a lot. Do you have anything that's breakfast appropriate to sort of slip into Trump, slip into Stern for us a little bit here?
Well, here's what I'll say. Right. You know, Donald Trump, he's been talking about the current Israel-Palestine conflict. I mean, Donald doesn't even know a word of Hebrew. Well, actually, let me tell you, Howard, I can tell you one word of Hebrew right now, and it rhymes like this. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. That's a Hebrew sentence, okay? So that's a little bit right there. I mean, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Howard Stern needs to interview Pierre. How about that?
That would be good.
I'll do some Stern Trudeau content on stage. Absolutely.
Wait, Matt, can you do the WNBC that Howard Stern does in private parts?
WNBC, right? Well, we got to do a little pig vomit, right? Because Paul Giamatti is right here. It's very fun to do Paul Giamatti. I love to do him very much. We can do both of them together at the same time.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Matt,
and you're Stanley Tucci.
Yeah,
you're doing Stanley Tucci making an espresso or something in the kitchen. You do.
Stanley Tucci is very fun because at the beginning of every video, Stan, the sexiest man on the internet, always says, "Are we rolling? Are we filming?" And then people's pants start to fly off as soon as he starts talking.
Oh, man.
Matt Friend at Comedy Bar this coming weekend. Matt, is there anyone you've actually met or done your impressions for that don't like it?
I think it just depends on the way you approach, the way I've been approaching it, which is, usually it's a place of a lot of respect and admiration, with the exception of certain political figures, which it can be a little more divisive, right? But no, usually they react pretty well to it, especially on these. But I talk about that in my show. I just describe these many celebrity interactions with Jeff Goldblum, Howard Stern, Andy Cohen, John Oliver. So Sebastian, there's a lot of celebrity stories, and people should come out.
Wow, it must never be lonely being you.
No kidding.
Like that is just like, even when you're alone, you've got so many people with you.
My neighbor must think I should be put into a psych ward or something. I'm not really. But the tickets are my website, mattfriend.com. So come out and come to the show. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Matt Friend, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck in Toronto, and come back on our show soon. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I've been putting myself out there, but I can't open up to someone new. No. And I've been acting like I don't care, just the sort of thing you'd see right through.
Well, DJ Frank Walker has had a wild few months playing at Ultra Miami, performing at Madonna's show in this city, and now his debut album, Origin.
So we'd like to welcome DJ Frank Walker to CP24 Breakfast. He is a Toronto boy, so we always love when we celebrate, and pay acknowledgement to our Toronto artists. Frank, you've done so much in your career. Now your debut album. What does it feel like to finally, have it all done? And what kind of inspiration or thought went into it?
It's pretty incredible to finally have it out. I've been DJing for a while now and always wanted to do an album. And it took me maybe a little bit longer to get out than I wanted to, but it feels so amazing to have it out. It's really heavily inspired by some of the artists that were kind of my origin story that got me into EDM, so like Avicii, Swedish House Mafia. So really, it's an incredible feeling to have it out in the world.
A lot of collabs on this new album. Can you talk a bit about how you sort of came together with these artists and working with them on the songs?
Yeah, so every song kind of has its own story. And for me, I always love working with other artists, and there's so many talented musicians out there. So the more people I can collaborate with, I'm always open to it. Missing You that you just played is Nate Smith, who I think just broke a record for like the longest country #1 in the States as a new artist. It's incredible, and his voice is insane, and you can understand why he's doing that. Ella Henderson from I Go Dancing, the first single off the album, is an amazing British singer. And then we have Tyler Shaw on the latest track we're trying to focus on called Gravity. So a fellow Canadian is kind of bringing the album home with the latest single that we're pushing.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I noticed a few Canadian artists on there, so I love seeing that.
Yeah.
If there's one track on your album that you think is going to break out as like the summer song or is going to get repeated plays, which would you bank on is that one?
Missing You's kind of like taking off right now, but that Tyler Shaw one, called Gravity, I think it's got a good vibe for summer. I've been testing it out at shows like Ultra, like you mentioned, and it's just been going off everywhere. The energy's really great. So I don't know. I'm Missing You, Gravity. I love them all. I could take any of them being the song of the summer.
That must be kind of unique to your process. I mean, I suppose a lot of bands, or musicians test out their songs at different venues, and then, hey, I'm getting a reaction here. So are you kind of like paying close attention to like either what beat or what mix or whatever, and they go, okay, I think this is going to work. Like, how much are you focusing on the crowd when you're performing versus in studio, maybe trying to lay down some tracks?
It's probably like a 50-50. Like I've done this for a bit now, so I have a bit of an inkling of what's going to do well, but you never really know. Sometimes you play a song out that you think would be a bit more mellow in a club, and it goes amazing, or you have a song that you think is going to be amazing, and you can tell where it's dying down. So it's always good to take that feedback from playing out live and bringing it back home into the studio and tweaking it a little bit.
And let's talk about EDM and dance music. I mean, obviously, since the time it kind of blew up with Tiesto, 2004, Athens Olympics, it's evolved and changed. But maybe talk about your love for EDM. And I'm very curious to know, like, for older DJs that are doing EDM music, like, do you have to be, is there kind of a stereotype that you have to be young to be an Edm DJ? Like, do you see yourself doing this when you're, let's say, 70, 80?
That's a long time to be touring. Maybe not that long.
That's true.
I don't necessarily think there's a stereotype you have to be young. I think anyone can be creative at any age.
Right.
And it's just really what inspires you. For me, like a bunch of those artists that kind of, like original Tiesto stuff from 2004 is incredible, but it was kind of when I was in college at Laurier. And then you can tell I've been in too many U.S. interviews. I say college instead of university. But yeah, it's when Avicii was really like exploding and like crossing over into the pop kind of sphere that really inspired me. So for me, it always comes down to this like good, uplifting, euphoric melodies, and the rest all kind of falls into place when I'm doing my production
So as long
process.
as you still have the energy to DJ and travel and do it, you just keep doing it for as long as you can. There's really no kind of thing in the industry that says, okay, like modeling, for example, or pro sports, where it's like, okay, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think there's a shelf life. As long as you're taking care of yourself, and I think as like people age touring, like you realize you got to take those days off and catch up on rest. But I think there's no shelf life to it. You can keep going as long as you want.
Good stuff. Listen, DJ Frank Walker, good luck with this new album. Toronto Boy doing really well. Toured or at least open for Madonna here. Great to meet you. Good luck with all of this, and hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Yeah, and you're performing at the RBC Open this Thursday, so good luck with that. Thanks so much, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Dice que me ama, no la creo. Shawty drop it when I say so. Lit on the floor like she J-Lo. She just want me for my peso. Baby, I could put you on my payroll.
Oh, it's a sound that we have all become so familiar with, and one of the biggest Brazilian pop stars, Anitta, is in Toronto for the first time and performing at History. So joining us this morning to expand on this beautiful Latin sound that has taken over our playlist is Toronto-based Brazilian artist Nick Souza. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking us to an amazing break. I was like, I'll just let them take away, but then on the side I was like, hey, listen, you have such an amazing vibe.
Thank
Your
you.
music is so lively, just what we need to kick off our week.
Right.
But you have made it a mission to bring the Western sound with the Latin sound together. Why is this so important to you?
I think being a Canadian and growing up in an immigrant household where you're kind of raised in one culture at home, and as soon as you step out of your front door, there's a different culture all around you. And I kind of grew up being too Brazilian for my Canadian friends and too Canadian for my Brazilian friends. So I was kind of like, where do I exist here? And then I think through music, I'm kind of able to weave that identity, like just through
It's so
mixing
true.
everything up.
Because you know what? Music, it is an international language, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of arguments or whatever your belief system is, you bring in music and everybody just like connects to it.
Yeah.
And your sound, it's a sound that makes you want to dance and makes you want to like really groove. Like, why was that part so important to you to make sure that you're creating something that people want to dance to?
Well, I think given that we were just in a pandemic for a while, we were all separated, I think everyone kind of felt the desire to kind of get closer to one another after so much time apart and to just enjoy and to dance together. So that's kind of the mission that me and my team at MDC and my drummer Baiano and my playback guy Slim over there are trying to bring to the people. So.
Yeah, Slim's over there. You can't really see him right now. But hey, really quick, you talk about bringing people together. I'm guessing the song that you're going to perform for us, it's called Running, but I'm guessing it's about like running to somebody, not running from somebody.
To me. No, to everybody. Everyone running to
you want people to run to you. Anyone in specific you want running to you?
Oh, commercial? Oh, no.
I love that. I love that. Hey, I can't wait to hear you perform it. So why don't you take it away?
Let's do it.
Here's Running. Oh, by the way, how do you say it in Portuguese?
Correndo.
Correndo. Here's Correndo by Nick Souza, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go. Check, check, check. Hey, hey. Yeah. Step out looking fresh, just in case I run into ya. To be honest, I just really wanna flex on ya. Every time I pull up, I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Running to me. I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Running to me. I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Hey, running to me. I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Running to me. Hey, I need you. I've been had what you want. I just don't like to flaunt. You know I'm one of one. Ooh, baby. And when the summer comes, breathe me into your lungs. I wanna see you run. And that's why I step out looking fresh, just in case I run into ya. Oh yeah, to be honest, I just really wanna flex on ya. Every time I pull up, I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Running to me. I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Running to me. Hey, I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Running to me. Hey, I need you running. I need you running. I need you running. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Toronto, I love you. CP24, thank you so much for having me. Love you guys.